Thank you so much for joining us here at Lovely Being You, where we speak of what I call Lady Liberty. I'm going to call Lady Liberty Gam. Gam was an exceptional woman. What she'd do is she would always make sure that she had Sunday free and available. Now, in a lot of cases, she really wanted to sleep. She wanted to sleep in because she worked all week long. But to better describe her, we have to go back. Gam was a beautiful woman, fair skin, I think 4C hair, hazel eyes, beautiful. But what do you do when you're raised not to really love yourself? She was born and raised in the South early on, and raised with her cousins. And all of them left the South because of the pain that they felt growing up in the South. She had a brother who was dark complexion, and he was mistreated because of his complexion. And people sometimes mistreated her because of her lighter complexion. This is why I said one time, she made the comment, "I can't stand black people." When she said that, it wasn't because she didn't like people of color, because of course she was a woman of color. She just was very upset and bitter about the way in which they treated each other. One of the things that Gam always made sure of, when you entered her house, you were entered with love and respect. This is something that she wanted everyone to share. Sometimes, one of the main things, like I said, she moved to Harlem. And when she moved to Harlem, she couldn't wait to begin work. She started working at a hat factory, and that's where she met her husband, my grandfather, okay? Both of them, and of course, these were my stepmother's parents, but I have to say that they were my grandparents, because when you look at how family is extended, you can even consider a friend a family member at times, because you become family after being around each other and after sharing so much. She was always kind to everyone. There wasn't a person who could say she was unkind. Now, of course, she was very strong and very stern as well. So if you did something wrong, she would make sure that you knew it. And she'd reprimand you, but after clearing it up, making sure that you understood that what you did was wrong and to make a better choice, it was like normal. Everything was fine. I remember my first concert was Tony Bennett concert in Atlantic City. She loved Tony Bennett. She loved his music. And we'd always be at the shop. She owned a barbershop and half beauty salon. She worked in the back with the ladies, and the guys in the front worked as barbers. She loved people, and she made sure that she cared for people in such an eloquent way. Always a woman, always a lady, meaning people would tell a story, and certain things that they would say that she found inappropriate, she would never repeat. She would never repeat such a story, because to her, it wasn't helping anyone. To learn a person, to know a person, is to learn how they are. And like I said, sometimes she would say certain things, but because you knew her heart, you knew where she was coming from. The pain that she went through growing up in the South, and seeing how people could treat each other so badly because of their color. To see that darker complexioned people can dislike her because of her complexion. We are all born a certain way. You can't change that. So why do people go against other people because of the color of their skin? She could never understand this, and this is why she treated people with love and care. Her culinary skills unmatched. You go to her house, and although you look in the cabinet and you couldn't find anything, or you couldn't see what you could cook, She'd come in that house and create a gourmet meal. And you'd wonder, where did all this come from? Because she came in the house, she had certain bags in her hand, but they were work bags, bags that she needed because she was going to be going to work later on. You see, she also made sure that she did the hairdressing and the makeup of people who had passed away. Many families knew of her in Harlem, and they called upon her to make up a person's face when they passed away. It takes a strong person to even take on such a challenge. For her to look at a picture and to create art, to see a person's face, see where the makeup needs to go, and make them look as though they were alive, lying in a casket. I remember one day I was sick in school, and they called her because she was one of the people on the emergency number list, and they couldn't reach anyone else. And she said that I could come to her daycare center. And I was very little, but my father apparently they finally caught up with my father, and he said, send her to her grandmother's, okay? So I went to Gam's school. And at the time, I had never seen her work with children. I knew that she worked at a daycare center, but I didn't know of, anything more than that. I knew she worked at the shop. She was a beauty salon owner. She had all these different jobs. So when I got to the school, she said, are you okay? Come on over here and get something to eat, and then you can lie down. The children have just been lying down for a nap, and you can catch a nap too while you're here, okay? And if you need anything, you just let me know, okay? And she gave me a hug and guided me to a cot where I lied down and took a nap along with the other children. Not everyone you can say that you can meet and interact with is going to be respectful, resourceful, loving, compassionate. She was all these things plus, always making sure that everyone had been respected. My younger brother, everyone says she treated him like a prince. But you have to look at the person and why they treat people the way that they do. She treated him as a prince because she saw her brother in him. And she wanted the chance, the opportunity to make sure that he never got treated badly because his skin was of a darker shade. When we look at people in our lives and we look at who they are, how they represent themselves, how they represent you, how they interact with you, you would want to have met this woman that we call Gam. When I say beautiful on the outside as well as beautiful on the inside, always taking on an extra position, an extra task. And she left here a rich woman. And when I say rich, people always go straight to money. I'm sure that she did have some money, but her richness, her wealth, didn't come from money. It came from class, style. She would go to the Goodwill and find things that you would never think would be at a Goodwill. She'd find name brand items, and you'd say, wow, where did you get this from? And she said, I got that from the thrift shop. She had an accent, a southern accent, and lived in Harlem for all of her adult life, but you'd never know it. And her love, even though she and and Grandpa Ski were no longer together, they still loved and respected each other, always treated each other with kindness. You never heard a bad word come out of their mouth about anyone because they always showed love, respect, and honor. And again, Harlem was one of the places that they loved, and they loved it more so because that's where they met. They loved it more so because they felt like they could make a change. Her coming from the South and moving into a city meant that she could make a change, and that's what she did. Always love the love of people, the love and kindness that you share with others. Gam represents that. Thank you, Gam. And thank you for joining us here at Lovely Being You.